Dastri Armada surged through the cosmos, its countless ships gleaming with an eerie, otherworldly light. Admiral Branda stood on the bridge of the command vessel, his eyes narrowed with contempt as Earth came into view. The humans, he mused, were an insignificant species, primitive and disorganized. Their resistance, if any, would be a fleeting inconvenience. "Prepare the broadcast," Branda ordered, his voice resonating with authority. His officers, disciplined and efficient, quickly complied. On Earth, General Nathaniel Grant stood in the war room, surrounded by screens displaying the approaching alien fleet. A seasoned strategist, Nathaniel had anticipated this moment for years. He knew Earth's survival depended not just on its technology, but on its people's resolve and ingenuity. The room fell silent as Admiral Branda's visage appeared on the main screen. "People of Earth," Branda's voice boomed, dripping with disdain, "surrender now, and your annihilation will be swift and merciful. Resist, and you will face unimaginable suffering." Nathaniel stepped forward, his expression unyielding. "This is General Nathaniel of Earth's United Defense Force. We will never surrender. Prepare for battle." The alien fleet descended upon Earth's major cities, their advanced weaponry scorching the skies. Explosions rocked the ground as buildings crumbled and chaos ensued. Despite the initial devastation, Earth's defenders sprang into action with remarkable speed. Captain Abigail Lake, a fearless and skilled pilot, took to the skies in her nimble fighter jet. She maneuvered through the alien onslaught with unparalleled agility, her quick thinking and precision turning the tide in several key skirmishes. On the ground, Dr. Elena Cornwall coordinated the deployment of Earth's secret defensive technologies, her keen intellect and innovative designs giving humanity a fighting chance. "Abigail, focus on the eastern flank," Dr. Cornwall's voice crackled over the comms. "We've detected a weakness in their formation there." "Copy that," Abigail replied, diving her jet towards the indicated target. Her squadron followed, unleashing a barrage of missiles that struck with pinpoint accuracy. Alien ships exploded in fiery blossoms, their wreckage falling harmlessly into the ocean. In the war room, General Nathaniel monitored the battle with grim determination. "They're testing our limits," he muttered to his second-in-command, Colonel Adams. "But they're not prepared for what we've got up our sleeves." The Dastri forces, confident in their superiority, found themselves increasingly stymied by Earth's unexpected resilience. Their initial arrogance gave way to frustration as their losses mounted. "Admiral, our ships are being outmaneuvered by the humans," one of Branda's officers reported, his voice tinged with disbelief. "Their tactics are unconventional." Branda's expression hardened. "Increase the pressure. They will break." But Earth's defenders, inspired by their early successes, only grew bolder. Dr. Cornwall activated a new line of nanotech-based defense systems, which infiltrated and disrupted the alien technology, causing ships to malfunction and crash. As night fell, the battle raged on, but a shift in momentum was palpable. Earth's forces, though battered and bruised, had not only held their ground but had begun to push back. On the command ship, Admiral Branda glared at the unfolding chaos with a mix of anger and disbelief. "This isn't over," he snarled, his pride wounded but his resolve unbroken. Back on Earth, General Nathaniel allowed himself a brief moment of satisfaction. "We've given them something to think about," he said, meeting the eyes of his team. "Now, let's show them what humanity is truly capable of." As dawn broke, the landscape bore the scars of the fierce overnight battle. Fires smoldered where buildings had stood, and the air was thick with the acrid scent of destruction. Despite the devastation, a sense of determination permeated Earth's defenders. General Nathaniel Grant stood in the war room, reviewing the latest reports. The initial assault had been repelled, but the Dastri Armada was regrouping for a second wave. "General, we've intercepted a transmission," Colonel Adams announced, handing Nathaniel a data pad. "It's from the Kalrata, an alien species previously unknown to us. They claim to be allies." Nathaniel's brow furrowed as he read the message. The Kalrata were offering assistance, but their motives remained unclear. Trust was a luxury they couldn't afford, yet rejecting potential aid could be fatal. "Get me a secure line to their leader," Nathaniel ordered. Moments later, a holographic image of Chancellor Varek, the Kalrata leader, appeared. "General Nathaniel," Varek began, his voice calm yet urgent. "We have been enemies of the Dastri for centuries. We have intel that could turn the tide of this battle in your favor." Nathaniel studied Varek's expression. There was no time for lengthy deliberations. "What do you propose?" "Join forces with us," Varek replied. "Our knowledge of Dastri tactics and vulnerabilities, combined with your resilience, can drive them back. But we must act swiftly." Reluctantly, Nathaniel agreed. The Kalrata ships descended, their sleek, angular designs a stark contrast to the bulky, imposing Dastri vessels. An uneasy alliance was formed, bound by necessity and the shared goal of survival. Captain Abigail Lake and her squadron were tasked with coordinating aerial maneuvers with the Kalrata fighters. The integration was challenging, their communication systems were incompatible, and their flying styles vastly different. Despite these obstacles, Abigail's leadership and adaptability fostered a growing sense of camaraderie. "Abigail, the Kalrata pilots are requesting backup in Sector 7, Dr. Elena Cornwall informed her over the comms. They're facing heavy resistance." "On our way," Abigail responded, steering her jet toward the fray. The sight of the Kalrata ships struggling against the Dastri assault spurred her into action. With precise coordination, her squadron and the Kalrata fighters executed a series of complex maneuvers, breaking through the enemy lines and securing the sector. On the ground, the Kalrata troops, led by Commander Thaler, worked alongside Earth soldiers. Their advanced weaponry and tactical insights proved invaluable. However, the cultural differences and communication barriers led to occasional friction. Commander Thaler, General Nathaniel said, addressing the Kalrata leader in person for the first time. "We need to synchronize our ground defenses. Your troops are holding their positions, but we can't afford any missteps." Thaler nodded. "Agreed. We must adapt quickly if we are to survive." Dr. Cornwall, meanwhile, was busy integrating Kalrata technology into Earth's defense systems. The Kalrata's energy shields were far superior to anything Earth had developed, and Cornwall's keen intellect was crucial in understanding and deploying these technologies effectively. "Elena, how's the integration coming along?" Nathaniel inquired, his tone a mix of urgency and hope. "We're making progress," she replied, her hands deftly working at a console. "But we need more time to fully implement the shields. Tell the front lines to hold out a bit longer." As the day wore on, the combined forces of Earth and Kalrata began to turn the tide against the Dastri. The air was filled with the sound of battle, the crackle of energy weapons, and the roar of engines. The Dastri, unprepared for such a coordinated resistance, found themselves increasingly on the defensive. In space, Admiral Branda's frustration grew. "How are the humans and Kalrata working together so effectively?" he demanded, his voice a dangerous growl. "Increase our firepower. Show them no mercy." Despite the escalating assault, Earth's defenders held their ground. The newly deployed energy shields absorbed much of the enemy fire, and the combined aerial and ground tactics proved devastatingly effective. In the war room, Nathaniel and Varek reviewed the latest battle data. "We're pushing them back," Nathaniel said, a note of cautious optimism in his voice. "But this isn't over yet." "No," Varek agreed. "The Dastri will not retreat so easily. We must prepare for their counterattack." As night fell, a tense calm settled over the battlefield. Earth's defenders and their Kalrata allies took advantage of the lull to regroup and fortify their positions. The camaraderie between the two species grew stronger, their initial mistrust giving way to mutual respect and shared purpose. Abigail Lake sat with her squadron, their laughter a brief respite from the day's horrors. Never thought I'd be fighting alongside aliens, she remarked, a wry smile on her lips. Life's full of surprises, one of her pilots replied. But I'm glad they're on our side. In the war room, Nathaniel and Varric finalized their plans for the next phase of the battle. We've given them something to think about, Nathaniel said, echoing his earlier sentiment. Now we need to drive them off our planet for good. Varric nodded. Together, we can achieve victory. The dawn of a new day brought an uneasy stillness to the battlefield. Earth's defenders and their Kalrata allies were on high alert, anticipating the Dastri's next move. General Nathaniel Grant stood in the war room, his gaze fixed on the holographic map displaying enemy movements. The brief respite had allowed for regrouping, but the Dastri Armada was not finished. General, reports indicate increased activity in the northern quadrant, Colonel Adams reported, urgency lacing his voice. It looks like they're preparing for a major assault. Nathaniel nodded, his mind racing through possible strategies. Alert all units. We need to be ready for anything. Captain Abigail Lake, having barely rested, was back in the cockpit of her fighter jet. The tension in the air was palpable as she led her squadron on patrol. Stay sharp, everyone. The Dastri won't give us a second chance. Meanwhile, on the ground, Commander Thaler and his Kalrata troops fortified their positions alongside Earth's soldiers. Despite the language barriers and differing tactics, they had formed a cohesive fighting force. Commander Thaler, General Nathaniel's voice crackled over the comms, were detecting unusual energy signatures. Prepare for immediate engagement. Thaler responded with a curt nod. We will be ready, General. Dr. Elena Cornwall worked tirelessly in the command center, integrating the final pieces of Kalrata technology into Earth's defenses. The new energy shields were a game-changer, but they needed to be fully operational before the Dastri struck again. Elena, how much longer? Nathaniel asked, his tone urgent. Almost there, she replied, her fingers dancing over the console. Just a few more adjustments. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the base. The Dastri Armada had launched a massive offensive, targeting key strategic points. The sky filled with enemy ships, their dark silhouettes blotting out the sun. All units, engage. Nathaniel commanded, his voice steady despite the chaos. Abigail and her squadron roared into action, weaving through enemy fire with precision and skill. The aerial battle was fierce, with both sides sustaining heavy losses. Abigail's leadership and quick thinking were crucial, guiding her pilots through the storm. On the ground, Thaler and Earth's soldiers faced wave after wave of Dastri troops. The Kalrata energy shields proved their worth, absorbing much of the enemy fire and allowing the defenders to hold their ground. However, the sheer number of Dastri forces threatened to overwhelm them. General, we can't hold this position much longer, Thaler reported, his voice strained but determined. Understood, Commander, Nathaniel replied. We're deploying reinforcements. Hold the line. Dr. Cornwall finally completed the integration. General, the shields are fully operational. Activate them, Nathaniel ordered. The new energy shields sprang to life, creating a protective barrier around the base. The Dastri's attacks were suddenly less effective, their energy weapons dissipating harmlessly against the advanced defenses. The tide of battle began to turn. Abigail's squadron exploited the shift, launching a coordinated counteroffensive that decimated the enemy air forces. On the ground, Thaler and his troops pushed back the Dastri, their morale bolstered by the newfound protection. In the war room, Nathaniel watched the battle unfold with a mixture of relief and resolve. We've gained the upper hand, but this isn't over yet, he said, mostly to himself. Chancellor Varric's holographic image flickered into view. Your people fight with great courage, General. Together, we can achieve victory. Nathaniel nodded. We will. But we must stay vigilant. The Dastri won't give up easily. As the day ended, Earth's defenders and their Kalrata allies had achieved a significant victory. Yet, the threat of the Dastri loomed large. The alliance had proven its worth, but the war was far from over. The stage was set for a final, decisive confrontation that would determine the fate of both worlds. The skies above Earth burned with the aftermath of countless battles. Despite the earlier victory, the Dastri were far from defeated. Their relentless onslaught pushed Earth and its Kalrata allies to their limits. General Nathaniel Grant stood at the helm of the command center, his eyes scanning the latest intelligence reports. "General, we've identified the Dastri command ship," Colonel Adams announced. "It's heavily guarded, but taking it out could turn the tide for good." Nathaniel nodded. "This is our chance. We need a coordinated strike team to infiltrate and destroy it." Captain Abigail Lake, her fighter jet still smoking from the last skirmish, landed at the base and rushed to the command center. "General, I want to lead the strike team." Nathaniel's expression was serious. "It's a dangerous mission, Captain." "I know," Abigail replied, determination in her eyes. "But we can't let this opportunity slip away." Commander Thaler stepped forward. "My elite unit will join you. Together, we can succeed." Nathaniel looked at them both, then nodded. "All right. Abigail, you'll lead the air assault. Thaler, you handle ground operations. Dr. Cornwall will provide technical support from here." Dr. Elena Cornwall, exhausted but resolute, immediately began working on a plan to disable the command ship's defenses. "I'll ensure you have a clear path," she assured them. The strike team launched at dusk, the sky ablaze with the setting sun. Abigail's squadron engaged the enemy fighters, clearing a path for the ground forces. Thaler and his Kalrata warriors, alongside Earth's finest soldiers, landed on the command ship's surface, facing fierce resistance. Abigail's voice crackled over the comms. "We're almost there, Thaler. Hold tight." Thaler's unit advanced with precision, disabling security systems and neutralizing enemy troops. The Dastri fought with desperation, aware that their fate hinged on this battle. As they neared the core of the ship, they encountered the Dastri commander, a towering figure exuding menace. "You will not succeed," the Dastri commander hissed, raising a weapon. Thaler stepped forward, undaunted. "We fight for our homes, our people. We will not fail." A fierce battle ensued. Thaler's strength and agility, combined with Abigail's aerial support, proved formidable. As the Dastri commander fell, Thaler activated the charges Dr. Cornwall had supplied. "Charges set," Thaler reported. "We need to evacuate." Abigail's squadron swooped in, extracting the ground team just as the charges detonated. The Dastri command ship erupted in a spectacular explosion, signaling a decisive blow to the invaders. The remnants of the Dastri Armada scattered, their morale shattered. Back at the base, Nathaniel received the news with a sense of triumph. "We did it," he said, a rare smile crossing his face. Dr. Cornwall, monitoring the battlefield, confirmed the retreat of Dastri forces. "They're falling back. We've won." As the dust settled, Earth and the Kalrata celebrated their hard-earned victory. The alliance had proven unbreakable, their combined strength overcoming a formidable foe. General Nathaniel addressed the gathered troops, his voice filled with pride. "Today, we showed the universe what true courage and unity can achieve. This victory belongs to all of us." Abigail and Thaler stood side by side, their bond forged in the crucible of war. "We fought well," Abigail said, offering her hand. Thaler clasped it firmly. "Together, we are unstoppable." The battle had ended, but the alliance between Earth and the Kalrata marked the beginning of a new era. The galaxy had witnessed the power of unity and resilience, setting the stage for future cooperation and peace. And though the scars of war would remain, so too would the bonds of friendship and the spirit of hope that had carried them through.